What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a movie that I got to check out a little bit early that comes out on October 8th called The Gig Is Up. So, The Gig Is Up is a documentary that I believe is a Canadian production and is written and directed by Shannon Walsh and is not somebody I'm super familiar with. But yeah, when I saw the poster for this and I found out that this film is actually about gig workers, people who, take different work from apps or websites and do things like Uber or Lyft, DoorDash, and the various other things that are known as gig work or app work. And so, yeah, I don't know too much about that world. I don't know too much about what it takes to make that your main financial thing in your life, your main career. But I do have a couple of friends who are actually in this lifestyle, and so I was definitely curious to kind of watch this movie and get a little bit of insight. What I could say about this movie straight from the beginning, if I'm completely and utterly honest, was that it was incredibly interesting and kept me interested throughout, yet was kind of boring. About halfway through watching this movie, I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of bored. I've lost a little bit of interest, though what I'm learning, the insight that's being given to me is rather interesting, but the movie itself is losing me. And about at the halfway point while I was thinking that, it wasn't too long after that my fiance also verbally said to me that she was feeling kind of bored, but that she was interested in it, but she was still kind of bored. And I think ultimately that was my overall takeaway from this film. This is a pretty intriguing film in the sense that we're learning about something that I don't think everyday people really know about. We know about Uber and DoorDash and Lyft and all these various other apps that you can get work on that people go and do all day and kind of do that as their main source of money or as like a side hustle. And so beyond that, I don't know too much about gig work, about app work or anything like that. So watching this documentary and being able to kind of see kind of a little peek behind the curtains of what it kind of entails for people in their life, the different challenges that they kind of face, especially if it's something that those people are doing as their main career, and the different kinds of people who do them. People who have money, a lot of cases people who don't have money, people who maybe can't really get a traditional job, so this is kind of their means of gaining money, and kind of the pros and cons that come for both the people doing it and for the company and for the consumer. And so I do think that this movie overall did really lay out some very insightful and cool, interesting facts for anybody who's not familiar with this. And one thing that's really cool about this film as well is that it doesn't just hone in on individuals from North America, not just from Canada and from the United States of America. They really hone in on a lot of places. We get to see different people, somebody from France, somebody from Africa, and these various other parts of the world, and kind of getting to see what app work and gig work is like in those various places. So on that level, I think this was incredibly well done in the sense that it definitely kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain into these people's lives and the various challenges that they face while doing gig work as their main source of income, And what I can say beyond that, though, is that I just found myself bored while watching it. This isn't a movie that I can ever really see myself going out and recommending to friends left and right. I actually just recently got to check out The Last Man Standing, which was a documentary about Tupac and Biggie, and overall that was a great documentary that kept me engaged, kept me completely pulled into the story. And I have spoken to various people and kind of promoted that film by word of mouth since I've seen it, and I got to check that one out a little bit early as well. And I've done that with many screeners or just movies in general, but this one isn't really one I can see myself doing that with. Now, for you who's watching this, for the viewer of my channel who trusts my judgment, or an individual who just stumbled upon this video and is just curious to know what I think ultimately, if you're intrigued by the premise, if you're intrigued by the poster, by the trailer, I think you should check it out. I think on that level alone, if you're intrigued by it, check it out. Whether you're going to finish the movie or actually be engaged with it the entire time is a different thing. I think this movie, for the most part for me, was just a little bit slow. And I think ultimately what I want out of a documentary outside of insight, which I do think this movie definitely delivers on, is insight. I think what this movie just didn't deliver for me was that ability to really attach myself to these individuals. We do follow a lot of different individuals from different places across the world, like I mentioned before, and their journey with gig work and app work and all of that stuff. However, I feel like we're bouncing around to different places too quickly, and we're focusing on a bunch of people who sometimes even have just small snippets in the film. And ultimately, outside of the insight, I never really cared for these individuals. It was just just interesting to hear about the hardships that they went through. And of course, I'm not a monster. I have sympathy for these people and the hardships that they do face. However, I feel like this documentary just didn't do enough for me to really be engaged with those individuals. And by the time the movie was over, I was just ready to shut it off and keep moving on. I couldn't tell you right now, I watched it last night, I couldn't tell you outside of what I learned about app work and those individuals, like what they look like and what they were going through. I couldn't tell you their names. I really couldn't tell you specifics about them. I just think that this movie doesn't give you that time with each individual person that we're following across the documentary to really care for their journey. I'm not saying you needed to cut people out of the movie, but overall, I just feel like by the time the movie was over, my genuine opinion is that I was intrigued by what I learned, but I wasn't really engaged and I wasn't really fully invested in these individuals' lives, which I feel is an important part of watching a documentary and being attached to what you're learning in the documentary. So that's going to be my really quick thoughts on this movie. I don't have an abundance to say on this movie, I'll be honest, but overall, I do think that, it's a well shot documentary, it's well edited. I just don't really find it to be all that engaging or exciting. And like I said from the very beginning, the best thing I can say about this movie, or the best way I can kind of sum it up, is interesting yet boring. And so yeah, I'll go ahead and wrap up my thoughts there. This movie will be coming out in select theaters and on VOD on October 8th. So if you're interested in it, please do check it out over the course of this review. I'm sure you guys will have seen the poster here to my side, as well as various images from the trailer. So hopefully something intrigued some of you guys to go check it out, because of course I always want to push some people towards these movies that I got to check out a little bit early, that obviously need a little bit of buzz, need a little bit of conversation. Though I wasn't absolutely mind blown by it and didn't love it 100%, I do think it's a movie that's worth watching if it intrigues you, if that premise intrigues you. So that's where I'll leave it at. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. It really helps the channel out. Please comment your thoughts. Have you seen this movie? Are you gonna see this movie? Are you somebody who does gig work or app work? I definitely want to know what that's like for you. What is your day-to-day? What are the struggles? What are the pros and cons of a lifestyle that utilizes gig work as the main source of income for an individual? Very, very curious, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say down below. And the last thing I'll ask you, like we all do here on YouTube, is if you guys enjoyed this video, if you liked hearing my thoughts on this, please do consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps the channel out, and I want to grow this channel a lot more. So a big thanks to you guys. The Gig is Up comes out on October 8th. Go give it some love and check it out if you're interested, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Bye-bye.